Hey everybody, this is Heidi, and you're listening to the Successful Fashion Designer Podcast. We all know that the fashion industry is brutally competitive and it takes loads of hard work to get ahead. The problem is that everyone's secretive and tight-lipped about their ways. After working as a designer and educator for over a decade, I wanted to help break down those barriers and bring you valuable knowledge from industry experts, and this show is exactly where you'll find that. Whether you're trying to break into the fashion world, make yourself more marketable, launch your own label, or become a successful freelancer, we'll help you get ahead in the cutthroat fashion industry. This is episode 36 of the Successful Fashion Designer Podcast, and today I'm chatting with Caroline Vazzana, a prominent influencer in the fashion industry who does partnerships, collaborations, and attends events with people like Betsey Johnson, Soriano, and Heidi Klum. Caroline started her career in fashion journalism, but quickly realized she wanted to do more than that. So she quit her day job to start her own company and blog, Making It in Manhattan, which covers everything you need to know to make it in Manhattan, from resume tips to how to sit front row at Fashion Week. In the interview, Caroline and I talk about the top 3 things you can do to start your own fashion blog, how to plan and prepare for quitting your day job, and how to never take no for an answer.
There definitely is some rejection in it for sure. And I think that's a big part of working in fashion that you just need to genuinely be ready for is, people are going to say no to you, but you need to take it all in stride and you need to smile, because I always say no just means not right now.
Caroline's also generous enough to give us a behind-the-scenes glimpse into her personal life. Things like, does she really have a photographer following her around town? How big her closet actually is? And how many of the amazing clothes she gets to wear are hers or are they borrowed? Now, before we get started for the interview, I'll remind you guys that I recently released the 20,000-word ultimate guide to being a freelance fashion designer. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's absolutely free. You can grab it at sfdnetwork.com/freelance to learn everything you need to know, from how to figure out and negotiate your rates to reaching out and finding new clients, and exactly what to put in your portfolio and how to present yourself professionally. It's a fantastic resource, and I've already gotten tons of feedback, and designers are seeing real results from this, so definitely check that out. On that note, next week, I'll be opening up enrollment to my brand new mastermind and coaching program to help designers like you either start or grow your freelance career. Whether you're brand new to freelancing and want to start earning some money on the side, or you have a few clients but want more so you can quit your day job and go full-time, this program is for you. Seats are extremely limited, and I'll only be accepting a small group of dedicated people to make sure I get to work hands-on with everyone to help you get the real results that you need. If you're interested, add your name to the VIP list at sfdnetwork.com/freelancer, and when the program opens, I'll email you with all the info. As always, if you don't want to miss out on any upcoming episodes, make sure to hit subscribe on iTunes or wherever you're listening. And if you enjoy the show, I'd be thrilled if you'd take 30 seconds to leave a rating or review on iTunes. It helps out so much. You can do that at sfdnetwork.com/review. Now, on to the interview with Caroline. To access the show notes for today's episode, visit sfdnetwork.com/36. Welcome, Caroline, to the Successful Fashion Designer Podcast. I'm really excited to have you here and hear about all the amazing stuff you're doing. Can you please start by introducing yourself to everybody and let us know what you do in the fashion industry?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. So my name is Caroline Vazzana, and I'm a fashion editor, stylist, blogger, influencer, and I'm the founder of the website Making It in Manhattan.
Awesome. And so I know a little bit about your journey, but I'd love for you to kind of talk everybody through where you started in the industry, how you got in, and then how you got to where you are now. Because if I'm not mistaken, you started in doing magazine editing, correct?
Yes.
So how did all of that come about? Did you go to fashion school? How did you build your career initially?
Sure. So I went to a small liberal arts school in Reading, Pennsylvania, and I really enjoyed it because for me, I knew I wanted to be in fashion, but I just wasn't sure like what facet of the industry exactly I wanted to be in. So I was able to have sort of a general fashion major. It was called fashion design and merchandising, but I wasn't locked down in one thing. So I was able to kind of create my own course load and things like that. And then while going there, I started doing internships. And my first internship was with a women's wear designer, Anna Sui, in New York City. I did it over the summer. Thankfully, I am from New York, so it made interning in the city during the summer very easy, and I got to just commute every day, but which was very nice. But I was in her production department. It was a great experience, and it was really my first ever experience in fashion. And it made me realize, okay, I definitely want to be in fashion, but now I was still hungry. I was like, okay, well, what else is there from just working for one designer? So I really was interested in working for several designers, and that's where I kind of got into magazine journalism. So the summer after that summer, after my internship with Anna Sui, I interned at Marie Claire magazine. And that's when my love for fashion journalism happened. And then after that, I went back to school for my senior year. And when I graduated, I got a job at Teen Vogue. And then after working at Teen Vogue for a year, I was a fashion assistant there. For print, I should verify, I was on the print side. So I was doing, photo shoots, I was doing requests, I was doing all that great stuff. And then after being there, I was like, I think I want to try out the digital side of a magazine, because I'm the kind of person, I always just want to see what else is out there. I'm always interested in, okay, well, what's next? There's got to be more than just this. I want to learn as much as possible. I love learning. So I then went to InStyle and I worked on the digital fashion team, and I was, interviewing designers and doing market content all for .com. And I absolutely loved that. But then after being there for about 2 years, again, I was like, okay, well, the industry is changing so much. Magazines are obviously changing so much. What else is there? So the idea of being my own boss was kind of always in the back of my mind. And it was something that just over time, it got louder and louder and louder. And I couldn't shut it out. I was like, okay, I really think I want to be my own boss. And I started meeting with some people I knew who were also freelance and who were also their own bosses. And eventually it just kind of got to what I call a now or never kind of point. And I just decided to take the plunge. And it's been a little over a year now. And I'm just so happy. And yeah, it's kind of everything I hoped it would be.
Okay, wow. So congratulations on that, making it to the first year or over the first year marker. That's really fantastic and definitely something to be super proud of. I want to unpack that a little bit though, because I mean, you most of the time, and maybe I'm wrong, people don't just quit and up and quit their day job and say, I'm going to be my own boss. And then magically it just happens. There's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes and a lot of effort and scary risks. And so I'd love for you to kind of talk us through, when did you decide, okay, I want to be my own boss. I'm going to commit to this. Did you start doing stuff on the side during your day job? And then, what was that transition really like? And then I'd love to kind of go through the year that you've had so far. But first, starting out, what did that look like initially?
Yeah, so for sure, the last answer was definitely a mouthful and kind of just the abridged version of everything. But I guess after working at InStyle for maybe just a couple of months, the idea of kind of working for myself just kind of crept in. I had a lot of friends who were freelance writers and who were also bloggers and influencers. So I think just watching them and following their careers on Instagram, that was kind of just the initial interest. That's, it sparked my interest. That was the beginning of it. And then from there was when I was like, okay, well, if I went out on my own, what would I do? So I was like, okay, I'd probably be freelance writing. I would like to be styling, and, I would potentially like to be running my own website. So some things that, I was doing on the side to start already building my freelance career was first off, I was styling. So I have a couple of small clients who I'll style for movie premieres and red carpet events and things like that. So while still being full-time, I was doing that on the side. So whether it was a weekend or at night or whatever it might be, I was styling them for, various things. So that was how I was first off getting my kind of foot in the door of freelancing and my name out there and freelancing and stuff other than just being in magazines. And then I also started my website, Making It in Manhattan, but just, very much so as a baby. And by that, I mean, just getting the URL, getting a generic build of the site up, and just getting some preliminary kind of content just to kind of get the word out there. Because I obviously didn't have as much time now where, I have a team of writers and we're posting every day, sometimes more than once. Then it was just me and I was just posting like maybe once a week or something like that, just to start gaining a following and gaining all of that. But then obviously, as the website was building and taking off and as I was doing more styling, then the idea of like, okay, could I do this full time? Could I really, take this risk, go out on my own? Can I do this? So I think for me, it was kind of writing everything down and kind of building a kind of like a spreadsheet of, number one, where's my income going to come from? I also made sure to like save a little nest of money. I always, I have people message me on Instagram and ask me, what's your biggest advice before you go out on your own? And I really think you should save up some money because no matter what you're doing right away, if it doesn't take off from the bat, just to have something to fall back on really makes a difference and is very helpful. And then, I was just continuing to build up my website and get the name out there so that when I did take the leap and decide to do it full time, it kind of was already out there and people knew that, oh, that's Caroline's side project. So it kind of makes sense. I'm very big on like building a personal brand and making sure nothing feels random and that everything kind of fits into place. So kind of just building that. And then before I left also, I kind of reached out to my contacts and was talking to a bunch of them and was just letting them know, hey, I'm going out on my own, would love to get coffee, see how we can continue to work together, see what we can do. Because now one of the things that I really love is I get to work with all of my contacts, but in different ways rather than just, maybe writing a story about one of their brands. I can do an Instagram collaboration with them, or we can, partner together on some video content, whatever it might be. It's really great. But so eventually after I kind of got my ducks in a row, but I always say too, when you go on your own, maybe what you think's going to happen, life will give you what it wants to give you. It's, whatever your plan might be, it never works out exactly how you think it's going to, ever. Even, if you are the most organized person, life's going to throw a wrench in your plans. But so for the most part, I had things lined up, but then at the end of the day, I always say you could wake up every day and be like, oh, I'll take the risk tomorrow, or I'll do it in a month when it's the holidays right now, or whatever it might be. I'll wait. But at the end of the day, I'm a firm, like, life's too short kind of person. And if I don't do it now, I'll just keep pushing it off. And I'm not going to lie, it was scary. It was really scary to just kind of like drop what I thought was my dream job to pursue, what I was like, this could be my dream. This could be the life I've always dreamed of living. It really can be. But at the same time, it could have been a huge failure. So I think it was just kind of, being like, let's do it. It's kind of like just, going skydiving and jumping out and hoping for the best. But it thankfully worked out. And so far, everything has been very good.
Yeah. Well, okay. There's so many things I want to touch on that you just brought up. One is, you said you made a spreadsheet, and I'm a huge spreadsheet nerd, so I love that you did that and kind of got into Excel and really organized and outlined everything and created a plan. Saving the money up front, super, super, super smart. And then, kind of lastly is just taking that risk and saying, oh, I could do it tomorrow, I could do it next month, because that's a very comfortable space to be in, to just keep putting it off and off and off. But at some point you've got to take that jump. So I love that your attitude and your mindset on all of that is to just jump and make it happen. But like, I want to dig a little bit further into, you said you put up the site and you started blogging, and anyone essentially can put up a website and start blogging, but it's very easy to sort of have your website and, well, why is nobody visiting? And what do I do about SEO? And people just get all sort of tangled up in, how do I promote this? And do I just spam it on Facebook or spam it on Instagram? And you've obviously built up a place where you've got a lot of content, you've got readers, you've got a team of people writing for you. What did that really look like to promote your content, to get it out there, to get people reading the stuff that you were writing? Did you do anything strategic to help build that momentum on your site?
So I think the first thing that I did was, before even like putting the site live, I made sure I had at least 5 stories. So, I wouldn't want someone to go to my site when I make this big announcement, like, oh, Making It in Manhattan's live, and then there's one article. So I made sure to bank my content. And then as far as SEO goes, I did have a writing background, and a digital writing one at that. So I was, and still am, very familiar with SEO and with writing headlines and things like that. So I definitely think that kind of, gave me one step up. And I also had a lot of connections in the industry. So a lot of them were interested in, oh, what's Caroline doing now? What is this thing? So a lot of them were just like going to look at it because they wanted to see what it was. And then, they were coming back and giving me great feedback and things like that. So for me, it was very organic in the growing of the site. And also, at the end of the day, career advice is something people want. They want to read that. Everyone, I always say that the title is Making It in Manhattan. But the idea of making it in Manhattan is just, Manhattan's like the dream place. So it's kind of making it anywhere. It's not only that I write about New York, but that's kind of like, in a quote unquote way, like the American dream. You come to New York with maybe $100 in your bank account to follow your dreams. And I think, people search Manhattan, and people search, how do I, land my dream job? So people were searching things that I was writing about. And I think that helped a lot. And, I started this site as a passion because I could remember what it was like. When I was just first starting out, I knew no one. I had no connections to fashion. No one in my family is in fashion, but I just wanted it so bad. I was so passionate, and I still am. So I just did my research, and I figured it out along the way. But I would have loved to have a resource like Making It in Manhattan to turn to, and someone to turn to who I could have maybe messaged for advice, or I could have written to, or I could have just gone to their site each and every day and read everything they wrote, because I'm literally, spilling my secrets over on Making It in Manhattan. So I, would have loved to have it. So that's why I started it. So I think there was a fan base for it. There was someone who wanted to read this.
Yeah.
Then SEO, of course, and things like that. But I always do say, when I'm, in an interview or anything, a lot of my success from the site I have to give to having worked in magazines, for sure.
And just in terms of knowing what type of content, the format, the SEO, some of the strategic stuff behind it. Is that what you mean by that comment?
Yes. Like, for example, just how to even write a digital story and how to format it. Like, for example, in headlines, odd numbers do better than even numbers, and lists do really well, and things like that, I'll take on writers sometimes who are new writers, and I'm happy to mentor them and help them. But it's interesting because I worked in magazines and I already just know these things. So they'll send in a piece to me, and then I'll go over it and try to edit it with them. And, I'm just teaching them things that they just really didn't know about formatting a digital article, and that I just was lucky enough to learn while working full time. So for sure, like, formatting, SEO, and then how to write a headline really helps.
Yeah. So what would be like if I wanted to start a fashion blog tomorrow, if I'm someone in the audience listening and I want to start a fashion blog tomorrow, what could be maybe the top 3 things that you would say to focus on to help make that successful?
So, number 1 is research. Do your research. See who else is out there. Make sure the name of the site that you're trying to pick isn't taken. Just like general research. Google is amazing. Go to Google, do some research. Then you have to figure out what your voice is. I always say, like, are you very comedic in your writing? Are you more serious? Are you very conversational? What is your voice? And also, what's your personal brand? Why are you here? What do you have to say? What are you going to add to the conversation that's already happening that isn't being said? I think those are some of the most important things, because there's obviously so many blogs out there. So, why should I read your website? I think really sit down and think about that, and even come up with a mood board, make a spreadsheet, come up with, okay, this is my brand's message and my voice is going to be X, Y, and Z. And this is why we're going to do it this way. Really write it out. And then, once you do find your brand voice and you've done your research and you have a great brand name, then work on designing a really beautiful site, because people like simplicity. They want to go to your URL and they want to be able to see the newest content, or they want to be able to, people don't like things that are too complicated. I feel like people have short attention spans. They want to go to your site and be able to see it right away. So work on, whether you're good at design or you have a friend that's good at design, work on really designing a beautiful site, just a clean site. It doesn't have to be super complicated. It can be simple. And also make sure that it then again fits your brand. Make sure that, your brand's not super serious, but then your website's, pink or something like that. Make sure that it's all very cohesive. That's what I always talk about too, in like building a personal brand. Make it cohesive across everything you do, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, just you as a person in real life. Like, you are the brand. Make sure that it's all very cohesive.
Yeah, that's great advice, and something I'll definitely compliment you on. I mean, your Instagram is beautiful and really does speak to you as a personal brand. So great job on that. And also,
Thank you.
yeah. And also though, great job on building, you have a very substantial following. I think you're approaching like 25,000 people. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm getting upwards to there, which is really crazy.
So can you talk a little bit about how you've been able to build that audience and how that's been beneficial for your brand?
Yeah. So, building a following just on Instagram, I'm going to talk about, is not easy. Obviously, with the algorithm that we're all aware with, Instagram filters in content in a very difficult way. So sometimes being seen is very difficult. But one thing I will say is, just if you are consistent and you post consistently and, have a clear brand voice, and by consistent, I mean like either once every single day or one to 2 times every single day, because I'll fluctuate. Maybe one day I'll post 2 times, one day I'll post once. But definitely posting every day, posting content that makes sense for you and for who you are as a brand. I would never post a black and white photo on my feed. I just wouldn't. It's not who I am, or it's not my aesthetic. So staying true to your aesthetic, even though, maybe a brand's approaching you and wants you to post something, whatever it might be, it's fine to work with brands, obviously, but always put your own spin on it. But so posting, consistently, having an aesthetic that's true to you, and that's also, I keep using the word consistent, but consistent. And then I think also just making sure your feed flows nicely. I try my best. Obviously, I post a lot of colors. I don't stick to one color scheme. Some Instagrams stick to maybe like gray with hints of pink, or, mainly gray with, a red kind of feel or a vintage vibe or whatever it might be. Mine is just very colorful, but I always try to make the colors flow. So I try to, if I'm posting like some red outfits, I'm not going to then just in the middle of nowhere post like a blue outfit. It just wouldn't look aesthetically pleasing to the eye. So kind of making your content flow and tell a story, I think it looks really nice, and it'll help if people go to your page and obviously they want to look at nice pictures. That's what Instagram's kind of about, or they want to be inspired or whatever it might be. Creating a page that looks really beautiful, I think always helps. And that's also just fun, have fun with it. Don't take it too seriously. It's fashion, it's social media. Just have fun. And if you're having fun, I think other people can see that you're having fun. Because, I have a lot of fun. I hope people can tell that I actually really like what I do and I like the pictures I post and I'm having a lot of fun. So I think if you're having fun and you like it and you're enjoying it, I think that that'll come across.
Yeah, it is very clear in your feed that like you're out there making it Manhattan and you are having an absolute blast wearing a ton of color, which is like so fantastic. It's like a breath of fresh air for anyone who's ever spent a fair amount of time in Manhattan. It's a lot of black.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's great. And then
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And you mentioned a couple times collaborating with brands, and you do, from what I see on your Instagram, it looks like you do a fair amount of collabs and you go to a lot of like really big events. You've pictured with Heidi Klum and you're hanging out with Christian Siriano, and it's pretty phenomenal. So can you talk a little bit about how you've been able to secure some of these partnerships and get to these events? And I know like one of the blog posts on your website is how to get front row seat at Fashion Week. How have you been able to sort of climb this ladder and get access to these big names, these awesome events, and these collaborations with brands?
So I think, starting with just brand collaborations, as far as my personal journey goes, when I first went out on my own, a lot of people still just saw me as editor. And I actually wrote about this in a post that I did about what it means to be an influencer recently, because I was kind of just writing about my journey and what the word influencer even means and all that kind of stuff. But so for a while, many people just saw me as an editor. A lot of brands that I was friends with, though I had worked with them for years and they loved me, they didn't yet see me as someone that they really wanted to collaborate with when I first, and it wasn't, anything against me. It was just, they didn't see me in that light yet. So it took me being very consistent and, asking them to go to coffees and sending them ideas I had on brand partnerships and collabs and telling them, I would really, really love to work with you and I would love to collaborate and I'd love to take over your Instagram account, whatever it might be. I think being consistent, like following up consistently and like not giving up, I think is something that's really worked for me. And obviously throughout that time, when I first went on my own, I didn't have that many followers either. So throughout the past year, I really worked on building my Instagram account, and I think that has definitely helped as well. So half of it is maybe me reaching out, and half of it is brands that I'm friends with reaching out to me. But it definitely took a while to get to a spot where, I was finally seen in a light that, a lot of brands wanted to work with me. And I would say over the summer, or late spring, early summer was when that shift really, really fully forced happened. I got to appear in this video campaign, and then soon after I did this huge Facebook Live and campaign video with this other brand. So it was just it started to be kind of like a trickle down effect. I did one thing and then all these things sort of happened. But again, if you're I think for me, what also has drawn in brands for me is that as you said, I post a lot of color, and in New York City, that's kind of rare because New York City is very black and white. So brands who also love color and who love sparkles and who love glitter and who love, everything I kind of stand for, those are the brands that want to work with me, and those are the brands that I want to work with. So if you're putting it out there, people are going to see it. And, eventually, if you just don't give up and keep doing it and keep doing you and don't let anyone stand in your way, it will happen. I always say, if you put positive energy out into the world, you will get positive energy back. That's like one of my biggest life things. Like if I wake up one day and I just like, say I wake up, stub my toe, whatever, and I'm like in a bad mood in the beginning of the day, I instantly sit down and I'm like, Caroline, you need to change your mood, because if you're putting out like negative energy, you're going to get negative energy back. Yeah. So it's all about like your mindset, especially I work by myself a lot. So it's all about like being in tune with yourself and things like that. But so then as far as
well, hold on. I want to interrupt really quickly because you said something that I want to highlight. And it was actually when I first reached out to you to ask for the interview, I had read an article on your site that mentioned you were talking about your journey and your transition from leaving your day job to going full-time entrepreneur. And you had made a comment in that article of like, I've written more emails in my first 3 months as an entrepreneur than I have in my whole career. And so I don't want to gloss over this though, because you made the comment of the collabs with the brands, like you pitched them, you sent out the emails, you gave them ideas, you told them, why it would be great to work with you, what you have to bring to the table, how it would benefit them. And it is a lot of email sending. And I experience it too, because I obviously do a lot of outreach to do podcast interviews. And so I just didn't want to gloss over that, because it's a really important point of you have to put yourself out there. You have to ask for it. You have to show the brand some ideas, what you can do for them, what you have to bring to the table. And you're going to get a lot of no's, but you'll get some yeses. And then that builds, like you said, this spring, this summer, you've now started experiencing this trickle down effect where one thing's leading to another, and it snowballs, and it takes time to build. So just to reiterate, the consistency, keep going forward. You're going to fall down. You're going to get no's, but you do have to put yourself out there. No one's going to come to you if they don't know about you.
Exactly. I completely agree. And I think for me, it wasn't hard, but I'll use the word maybe like nerve-wracking when I, maybe decided, okay, like I really want to do this. I'm going to start like actively posting pictures of myself, and I'm going to actively, wear what I want to wear and whatever it might be. That's scary. It's nerve-wracking. You're putting yourself out there in a very public way. And obviously, you're going to have your fan base and your followers who love you and support you and, love what you're putting out there. But then there's going to be what I call quote unquote haters, there's going to be that. So you have to just always take it all in stride. But I completely agree with what you said. Like, you really have to ask for what you want. No one is going to read your mind. No one's going to fight for you as hard as you will fight for you. And no one's going to stand up for yourself like the way you will. So, I completely agree with that. As, you were kind of touching on, yes, I have sent so many emails. And I think that's just something that's like in my DNA and in my nature. When I want something, I won't stop until I get it kind of thing. And I'm going to work as hard as I need to work to get it. And, for example, when I was applying for like my very first internship, I had no connections. There was no Instagram. There was no really great internship resources like there are now. So I just had this, not to go off on a tangent, but I had this book for school that was just called like Who's Who in Fashion. And it just pretty much had like a glossary of fashion designers. And I went through the whole entire book. I Googled every single designer's name, and I found any kind of email I could to that company and emailed them.
You did?
And yes.
That's amazing.
That is how I got my first internship. And most of the contacts are just like info@whatevercompany.com.
Oh, wow.
So they were like, black hole emails. It was not the right email. At the time I had no idea. I was so like, I can do whatever, like nothing's going to stop me, which was good. But, half those emails probably no one read. But eventually the internship I did get, when I Googled her, there was an actual, internships contact email on her website. But with that being said, you're never too big, you're never too small, you're never too whatever to reach out, to spend the time to tell people why they should pick you and why they should hire you. I think, from that time when I sent all those emails to now, I will similarly, if I'm trying to get a collaboration with a certain company or with a company or whatever it might be, like I will still sit down like I did that day with that book, not with that book, obviously, because it didn't really work, but I will sit down and I will send out email after email. I don't think that's something I'll ever lose, really.
Yeah, that's great. I love that attitude. I love you just kind of that's such a great story. I sent them all to info at, hello at, contact
Literally.
at.
That's what it was. And I kept like a running list of every single company I emailed because I wanted to like remember, and I just remember none of them answered. And I was like, oh no, this isn't good.
Yeah. Did you make a spreadsheet?
At that time, I was still in college, and I just hand wrote them down on a Post-it note and put it on my desk. And I remember just looking at it every day and literally like channeling positive energy at the Post-it note as if that would help. But hey, maybe it did. Who knows?
You got your foot in the door, and it started everything.
Yep. I always say that. Yep.
Yeah,
that's what
great.
Started it all.
Okay, and then, well, I know I'm going to go off on one other little tangent. I know we're kind of going all over the place with these questions, and I asked you like 4 questions in one with the last question. But you made a comment earlier in your story about how, at first you felt a little awkward, like going around posting all these pictures of yourself. And I just have to know, and I think other people that are listening are going to want to know now, like you have amazing, glamorous pictures of yourself all the time. Do you have a photographer just following you around? Or like, is that an awkward behind the scenes question? But like, I just have to know.
Of course. A lot of people ask me this actually. Okay. I have a couple of photographers who I work with regularly. One's a good friend of mine from college. Others are just friends I've met working in the industry. I do not have one that like follows me around on the daily unless I have like a big event I'm going to. Then I'll be like, hey, can my photographer come? But most of the times I'll, if I have like, say I'm posting a bunch of outfits, I'll maybe spend a day shooting like 5 outfits or something, and then I'll save them for my Instagram and spread them out accordingly. Because then also if I'm going to events during the week that are cool and I'm going to be wearing something great, I can sprinkle those pictures in as well. But I think also, a part of doing it is just building great contacts and friendships. I'm really big on building friendships rather than just, let's meet and do a quick photo shoot and that's it. I really love like building relationships with these people because then, we can grow together as they build up their career and everything. And I build up mine. We'll always look back on that day we shot 5 looks in the snow running around Manhattan and whatever it might be. But yeah, so I try to take professional pictures as often as I can, but I also try to keep my feed very organic, so I'll throw in an iPhone picture. If I see something really beautiful and I just want to post it, I'll post it. I won't stop myself, I want it to feel organic, and I want to feel like my followers actually know me and that, they can relate to what I'm doing.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for that glimpse into your daily life.
Of course.
That's always a fun part of the journey for everybody to get to experience. So thank you for sharing that.
Totally.
Okay. So the collabs with the brands, you did a lot of outreach. Yes. It now starts to come to you. And if you want something, you go out and you get it. So next, what about like getting access to some of these huge events that you go to? What does that look like?
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting because a lot of people ask me this. It's a good mix between brands reaching out to me and just inviting me and being like, hey, Caroline, like we have, X, Y, and Z event happening. We'd love for you to attend, or we'd love for you to attend and interview someone or whatever it might be. I think, it's gotten to a point where I've gotten my name out there to a good enough point that brands are reaching out to me and inviting me. But with that being said, there are events as well that, maybe I'll hear about from a friend, or I saw everyone attending a year ago and I made a note to myself, hey, I want to go to that event next year. I'll then make a note for myself. I'll do some research to maybe try to see like what PR firm's hosting the event, because there's, a handful of PR firms in New York City who I work with, mostly all of them. So sometimes it's just like finding out which event's hosting it. And then if I'm able to reach out to the correct person, most of the time they're like, sure, we'd love to have you. But sometimes, there is some rejection with it. If you either, can't find the right contact, or, sometimes you might just be reaching out too late, or at the end of the day, they might just be at capacity. There definitely is some rejection in it for sure. And I think that's a big part of working in fashion that you just need to genuinely be ready for is, people are going to say no to you, but you need to take it all in stride and you need to smile, because I always say no just means not right now.
Yeah.
So though someone might say no to me to a fashion week show, or might say no that they don't want to collaborate, whatever it might be, in a year's time, I will probably have more experience and I'll hopefully have more followers or whatever it might be. So in a year's time, if I came back and asked the same question, the answer could be yes. You don't know. So I always say no just means not right now. But with events, yeah, some of it's me reaching out, some of it's them reaching out. What I always just say, it's about building a network. It's about getting your name out there. The more events you're at and the more things you're attending and being like, quote unquote, seen at, or whatever you want to say, I think that'll help you get access to more events as well. And also, if you go and you do really nice coverage on your Instagram and give the designer or the company or whoever it might be a lot of nice shout outs, I think that they'll be happy to have you. Every year they have the event. So just building that relationship.
Yeah. You had mentioned earlier, and it kind of, it reminded me of it when you made the comment of, giving back to them, doing that coverage, tagging them, giving a bunch of great photos from it. And you had made the comment earlier about how you look at some of these collaborations and these people that you talk to and these relationships that you build as friendships. And I want to just point that out, because it's something that I've been hearing from a lot of people lately is, it's not, instead of using this word, and you mentioned it as well, and we all say it all the time, but like going out and networking, which can feel like, oh, I'm just out to get something for myself, looking at it as a friendship, a collaborative process, because just as much as you may need something from them, they may need something from you, and it can be a great, amazing two-way street, and we can all grow together, which is essentially what you said with, the photographers that you work with, and some of the PR brands that you work with. There's always something that you can do for them as well. And so looking at it as a more collaborative opportunity than just, hey, I need this thing from you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like if I'm ever, for example, maybe going to a big event and I really want to borrow something to wear from a designer, I'll never just reach out and be like, hey, can I wear this? And like, that's it. I'll always be like, hi, I'm going to this event. I would love to borrow this. I'll provide you with images I take in the outfit. I'll definitely shout it out on my Instagram account. I'll put it in my stories, whatever it might be. I think everything should be you wanting to help each other. And like, I just genuinely want to do that too. Like, I think it's fun for them to get to see me in the outfit that they sent me, as well as I have fun wearing it. And it's fun to work together. And it's so fun. I love going to all these events because a lot of these people who maybe I've worked with now for 3 or 4 years have really become friends of mine. And they've become people that, when we're together, we don't just talk business. We talk about our lives and our relationships and everything in between. So it's really nice when you can get to a point that you can say, yeah, that person is my friend, or that, whatever. Because then that's when your job really does become fun, because it's not work. It's just you getting to hang out with friends a lot, and even just people you like. And, I think, as I said before, life's too short to just be like, okay, I'm here for business and that's it. I think if you can kind of foster a deeper relationship and connection with it all, it really becomes so much more enjoyable.
Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to pester you with another behind the scenes question that I'm sure people ask you all the time. There's actually 2 of them. Is 1, how much of the stuff that you wear and post is borrowed? And then 2, how big is your closet?
2 good questions. It depends. If you see me going to something that's maybe, say, like a gala or like a very big event, like I recently went to the Vanity Fair Best Dress List party that I posted about on my Instagram. That outfit was borrowed. So I added my own accessories. I added my own vintage top I had. I wear my own glasses and things like that. Like, I get to accessorize it however I want. But it's fun sometimes because if I'm going to like a really big event, I don't really want to go out and like buy a whole new dress that I'm going to maybe wear once. So to get to borrow something from maybe a designer you really, really love, it kind of makes you feel like Cinderella for the night.
Yeah.
You get to wear this amazing outfit that you wouldn't necessarily ever own because, you know, maybe you couldn't afford it or whatever it might be. So you get to just kind of feel like a princess, dress all up for the night, and then when it's over, you know, you get to send it back because obviously if I kept everything, my closet would be too jam-packed. But most of the time, like if it's just like an outfit picture of me like on the street in New York City, it's usually always my clothing that I own. And then closet size, I recently redid my closet over the summer because it was just getting like way out of hand just because I do have so much. But I actually did like a revamp and like got a bunch of stuff from Home Depot and just like put it together myself and put up shelves and like just made it look very nice. But it's not super large. It's not maybe like a Carrie Bradshaw-esque walk-in closet. I kind of just took half of one of my bedrooms in my house and just like turned half of it into a closet kind of. But it's still a work in progress. I posted a picture once of the inside of my closet and a lot of people were like, "Where is that?" I was like, "No, that's my closet. That's not a set or anything."
Wait, I was just going to say, right as you said that, there's a picture on your Instagram and it actually does look like it's off of a movie set, but that is your closet. That's amazing.
That is my closet. Yeah. But that's just, you know, I just was like, you know what, I want a nice closet. I'm going to make it happen. I get so much stuff and I really do love fashion. So I was like, my stuff needs to be stored in a nice way. I like keep the room cold because it's better for the clothes and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. I'd love to have a huge closet, but maybe one day.
Yeah. And now are you actually in Manhattan?
So I actually live in Staten Island, which is right outside of Manhattan across the water.
Yeah.
It's one of the boroughs, but it's the forgotten borough.
But that gives you a little more space.
Yeah, so I definitely have more space. And I always joke, my friends always joke, they're like, "You're like Hannah Montana, you live a double life." Because one minute, you know, I'm at a gala one night or I'm at, you know, a movie premiere, whatever it might be. And then in my next Insta story after that, I'm literally like back at my house, sitting on the couch, eating pizza with my cat. So I definitely, you know, I like the balance of being out at this really fun, crazy, cool party. But then at the end of the day, just being able to come home, relax, not hear really a lot of cars outside my house, and just chill. That's like, you know, my favorite thing. And I think that balance is what really like helps me a lot because I'm always on the go.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for the glimpse into your personal life. It's really fun to hear what goes on.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. The last thing I want to talk about is the site, because we haven't really talked about it at all. And there is a plethora of amazing career and industry resources and advice. And I'll put the link in the show notes, of course. But talk a little bit about, you know, what you do on the site and why it's such a great resource for designers and what they can find there.
Yeah, so as I quickly said before, you know, I started making it in Manhattan as a way to give back and a way to kind of, what I say is draw back the curtain to what seems like a very exclusive industry and, you know, what seems very mysterious. I wanted to draw back the curtain and I wanted people to feel like they could feel like they're in the industry, like through what they're reading from me. I want them to feel like they're reading something from, you know, a best friend's big sister or from their older sister, someone that they can turn to and trust and rely on and turn to for advice. So that's why I really started the site. I just wanted to give back and I wanted people to feel like they could learn from it and they could achieve their dreams and that no dream is too big. Anything is possible with hard work. And then so on the site, a lot of what I write about is first-person career advice essays. I'll really dive into various topics from like how to format a resume to, you know, how to sit front row at Fashion Week to, you know, everything and anything really. No topic goes untouched really. I try to touch on a lot of things, and I even love getting suggestions from my readers. Like, they'll send me messages sometimes on Instagram and be like, I'd really love to hear about this, or I'd love to hear about that. And then, in 2 weeks' time, they'll see that article up on the site. And then I'll do interviews with various designers, stylists, influencers, YouTubers, and ask them about their lives. Because obviously, yeah, it's great to read about what I've been through, but I think at the same time, it's really nice to learn from others. Even when I do the interviews, I feel like I'm learning because I get to read about and talk to these amazing individuals who have done so many incredible things. So to get to read about their lives is not only beneficial, I think, for my readers, but I really love it. And then I definitely, of course, I offer style advice and fashion advice because I definitely have this kind of different eclectic sense of style. So I try to tap into that on the site a little bit through, I just did this story on feathers because I'm currently obsessed with feathers. And it might not be like the traditional thing, like, you'd never see an article on the site entitled like shop these 10 black pieces. Like we would never write about that. Ours is going to be like, this is a way to like have more fun with your wardrobe, or this is a way to like wear feathers, or this is how you can wear, sparkles during the day, whatever it might be. I try to offer a different kind of style advice, which I feel like a lot of sites, maybe write about the same kind of stories and same kind of style. So when you come to Making It in Manhattan, you're getting something different. You're getting something unique. You're getting something that's just straight up fun. Like we all, me and my writers and anyone who contributes, we all genuinely love what we do. We also have a beauty vertical, and I have a couple of beauty writers because honestly, I'm not a beauty person. I'm like a fashion girl. But I wanted a beauty vertical. So I was like, okay, I put in my Insta story. I wrote hey, I need some beauty writers. I want to add a beauty vertical to Making It in Manhattan. And I got a bunch of messages. So I just, I'm always trying to move the site forward and bring it to the next step. And I really want to continue growing it. And I think there is a niche market out there for, fun career advice, but then also just like how to live your best life. I think that's what Making in Manhattan's about. It's like about following your dreams fearlessly and not caring what anyone thinks. Like being your truest self, wearing the tutu in public, and loving yourself and not caring, if there's judgmental eyes following you and looking at you or whatever it might be. But so, we're just working on really growing the site. It's obviously what I consider a startup for sure. But we'll see where it goes even within the next year or so.
Yeah. Well, this is so amazing. I mean, you've made huge strides and you've really kind of gone after everything full force. I know, to go back to the tutu mention, you call yourself the modern day Carrie Bradshaw from Sex and the City. Anyone listening who doesn't know that reference, I imagine most will. But yeah, congratulations. I mean, it's really phenomenal to see your fiercelessness and just to kind of go after what you want and just do it. It's really inspirational. So thank you for sharing your journey and all the great stuff that you're doing. So on that note, I would like to end with the one question I ask everybody at the end of the interview, and that is, what is one thing people never ask you about working in the fashion industry that you wish they did ask?
No one ever really asks me this because I think they probably don't think it happens to me, but it does. No one ever asks me, like, do you ever not know what to wear? Or do you ever have days where you just, like, look at your closet and you're like, ugh, like, I have nothing to wear? Or have I ever had a day where I've tried on 50 looks and torn off all of them? And the answer is completely yes. Like, I feel like, I have some people who definitely follow my Instagram, not really for the career advice, but really for the style. And they like, the combos I put together, whatever it might be. I just kind of like throw on the quirkiest, craziest things I can find because I think that's fun. But there's definitely days where I look in the mirror and I try on a million outfits and I'm just like, oh, I wish I didn't have to go shoot today. Or I shouldn't have to, wear something crazy today because I just don't know what to wear. There are definitely days like that. And when I have those days, I personally will go online and I'll look for outfit inspiration. And, there's days that I don't need inspiration. I'll just throw on whatever and it'll just click. And those are those magical days that I love. And I wish I had every day like that. But then there's days where I need to turn to Instagram or social media to look at someone whose style maybe I idolize and be like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to wear today. Like, fashion gods, give me some inspiration type thing. Because it's not all as seamless. Obviously Instagram makes it all look so easy and so simple. Like, it's just as simple as uploading the picture kind of thing. But it definitely is a lot of hard work and a lot of thought goes into it.
Yeah, I love that answer because you do pull off the craziest outfits sometimes. And I'm like, that is so random and you're killing it. And so it can look very like you could close your eyes and pick out 4 random things and put them on and layer it just right and tuck it in just right and it would totally work. So it's relieving to hear that, sometimes you have a bad outfit day, you're like, this is just not working, and it's not as easy as it looks. So thanks for being so humble and sharing that.
Yeah, of course. At the end of the day, we all have our, wardrobe and, our outfit malfunctions and struggles.
Yeah, but it's easy to look at someone who on their social presence looks like they have it all together and just assume that they always do have it all together. So
sure.
It's very relieving to hear that it's not always the case and we all have our moments.
Of course.
Great, Caroline. And please share exactly where everybody can find you online.
Yeah, so if you want to go check out my website, it's makingmanhattan.com. My personal Instagram handle is at Vazanna, which is my first initial and my last name. And then you can find Making It in Manhattan on Instagram at Making Manhattan Official.
Awesome. And I will link to all of that in the show notes. Caroline, this has been so much fun. Before we end, I do want to throw out one thing. You made the comment earlier that you just have to not take no for an answer or look at it as not right now. And so just to have a humble moment for myself, I really wanted to interview you. And I think it took me like 7 or 8 email follow-ups and some coordination with your assistant. And I was happy to do that because I was like, I really, really want to chat with her. And it takes that persistence, that consistency. And so you don't always get it on the first email. You don't always get it on the third email. But I just continued to in a very friendly manner. Hey, just wanted to check in and see if we can get this scheduled. I know you're super crazy busy. And it took a few months and a little bit of time. But those are those things that you get that interview, you get that internship, you get that job, you get that collab, whatever it is. You do have to, as I say, sort of a friendly reminder. At some point, you stop, or if they tell you to stop, you stop. But just to be transparent about that, it happens to all of us. We kind of have to follow up to get what we want. So thank you for agreeing to do this and fitting me into your schedule. It's been a great pleasure chatting.
I was so happy to. And like you said, I get so many emails. So when you would jump back up to the top of my email, I was like, oh, I need to schedule this. It was one of those things on my to-do list. And you know what? Everything happens for a reason. And I'm so happy we were able to do this. This was so much fun.
Yeah, thank you. And it's good to know. Sometimes it's not because the person doesn't want to. It's just that they forget and they need that reminder for it to pop back up. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, Caroline.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Successful Fashion Designer Podcast. I appreciate each and every one of you. Again, make sure to hit subscribe on iTunes or wherever you're listening. And if you enjoyed the episode, I'd be so grateful if you could take 30 seconds to leave a rating or review. You can do that at sfdnetwork.com/review. And as a quick reminder, if you haven't yet downloaded the Ultimate Guide to Being a Freelance Fashion Designer, it's the 20,000 word, absolutely free guide that I released recently that walks you through all the steps you need to start or grow your career in freelancing. I'm also opening up the doors to my brand new coaching and mastermind course next week, which will cover everything in depth and get you hands-on support to either starting or growing your freelance career. If you want to hear more about that and make sure you are on the list to know when it opens, seats are extremely limited so I can work with everybody one-on-one. Make sure to sign up at sfdnetwork.com/freelancer and I'll email you all the info. Thanks so much again, you guys. I am so Heidi, and I will talk to you next week.